Good morning and welcome to AIADA's AutoTalk. I am Dan Barson, your host for today's program. Join me in welcoming Kendall Billman, Senior Vice President of Auto Alert. Kendall has over 27 years in the automotive industry. He's worked for 6 major leading companies. Several of those companies include Who's Calling, Reynolds Web Services, and the latest, VIN Solutions. So, Kendall, welcome to today's program.
Thank you, Dan. I want to thank everyone for attending. I know you're very busy. It's a very busy time of the year and the month, but I do appreciate your time to get on here. Dan and I were talking about different agenda items that we could, and topics that would really benefit. And what we had selected here was really what some of the major pushes that's been going on with the major OEMs. You look at Audi or Volkswagen, BMW or Mercedes. They are all really pushing, customer retention, brand loyalty. You even see this from major brands such as Ford pushing this down throughout. Part of the reason is due to the extreme high cost of digital advertising. It seems like everyone's still trying to go after the third-party lead source for the customer who is online, looking for the lowest price and the lowest payment, leading to that lowest profit for the dealerships. As we really start looking at customer retention, again, these customers are unaware that they can trade in today. This also delivers the highest profit back to the dealership. And when you're getting there's just so many extra items that come through this, from your extra service work, warranty work, et cetera. We broke this down into 3 parts. Understanding a little bit about the behavior of consumers, the predictive behavior, how to basically use big data and make it actionable for you at the dealership level. We're also looking at, areas of how you can communicate, upgrading the customer. A lot of times they're unaware that they can upgrade. So again, it's not just walking up and, expecting them to buy, but giving them the reasons to buy. One big focus that I wanted to bring in here is selling on the service drive. I'm also very big on stats and case studies, again, areas to help you validate why this would be important for you to consider at the dealership level. And then more importantly is areas and ideas how to keep your employees engaged. When they're engaged, you're just going to see better results at the dealership level as we go across. A little bit about AutoAlert. Understand some of where this data comes from. AutoAlert is the company who developed what was known as equity mining. It started in 2002, holds several patents that go across this. We are the largest not only in the United States, Canada, but also around the world. We really do a lot with dealerships to where we actually learn their data, how to actually work and customize it to fit each one of your stores to produce the highest results. You'll see a lot of the brands here referenced that we go through. We're constantly working with the brands because, they have good information, but how do you actually implement that at the dealership level? It's one area that we focus on. I know Dan mentioned I've been part of many major companies. I was in the retail industry side for 6 full years, total of 9 while I was working on my master's and my MBA. I'm a big nut on continuing education. I just started another course at Wharton on business analytics and really diving into data analytics and insights. Overall, I look at it as that this is really the path of where we're going, because big data is the key element of, you hear it, we've heard it for a number of years, but really we're able to really make it actionable now. When you look at it, it is the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks. When I look at that at the dealership and break it down, is that, every dealership has thousands and thousands of customers. The CRM will just say, hey, let's pick up and call that customer today because it's their 2-year anniversary and tell them happy birthday, right? But really big data will say, not only do you need to call this customer, that customer is actively in the market shopping, and they can trade keys today at the exact same payment. And this at those terms that you set up are at a full retail deal for you, giving you the highest profit. So as you're looking for how to make this start using, we need to start making it actionable across all sections of your dealership level. When you're looking at the customer, it'll allow you to make the strategic selling decision. Now, when we get into data, you're going to hear a lot of, keywords and marketing ideas. On the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see, predictive marketing, behavior marketing. Algorithms are what the data is actually using. They're looking for those anomalies, or they're looking, all right, how many customers or how many payments has this customer made? They're looking at, have they been into service? They're looking at the book values that you put onto their trade for their used car. They're looking at all these little things, and as they analyze every single customer, We're basically desking every single customer in your system every single day, looking for the top opportunities. But when you really consider predictive analytics, the goal is to drive customer marketing strategies. Realistically, it's going to be the biggest game changer that you're going to see at the dealership level in many years. You know, internet was a big change, but this is actually allowing you to get very specific. One of the biggest reasons why this allows you to do is because when we create these opportunities, it's also going to give the information to where you can create a conversation with the consumer. That's one of the biggest different changes from, saying, the internet and all this massive shopping people are doing, to where you can actually come back and create a one-to-one message. When you can create that, you know, customized campaign that's individualized, it's real time to that customer, it's specific to the vehicle they're driving, their behaviors, that'll give you an advantage when that customer is ready to trade keys. And as we're looking through this, right, the reason why it's so important for you at the dealership level to look at is that when we sign up new customers, or we're looking at things that come across, we see a huge defection that these customers have already left your dealership, right? So the processes and the place they were put into at the store level is not working because those customers are leaving and going somewhere else. And again, if you consider your database, there's almost a third of them, 30% have gone and left. Now, if you're looking at NADA cost to acquire, you want to put, you know, dollar values to that, right? So that's roughly about $2 million that has already departed your dealership. More importantly, is you paid for those customers to get there, right? You paid massive amounts per lead source. You had different things that went on. You've got all your fixed op. And again, as you're going through this, we've got to figure out how to stop it. So when we consider your entire database and the amount of money that you put in there, right, keeping the same $635 dollars per customer to acquire, right? Average dealership's $10,000. Right? That's about $6.35 million that you spent out there just to acquire. So that's, if you're looking at stocks, if you like to kind of follow in this, that's a lot of money sitting there. And as we start looking at these strategies to convert these customers, again, you are the one who wins. The dealership overall wins. Your salespeople win because they make more as it goes through this process. Now, how is big data applied, right? It's when you're looking at, you know, the sources. Some people just have one or two products as they start going through there. What we're looking at is that at the very top, you're going to see there's a lot of OEM data, right? There are sales data that come from your CRM, your DMS system, right? As you're starting to look at third-party lead sources, what information can you acquire out of that? You're going to take data mining at your dealership level and start to put in there. As all of these things are put together, it just combines and analyzes. This is where it's starting to compute to saying, I'm desking every customer, and I'm looking for the top opportunities. Now, not only does it look at, but it's also, it should predict out what message should I say to them, what should I send to them, and how should I send it? Do these customers use email, right? Some people still do. Do they prefer to have a text message? That's an opportunity that you can look at. People think mail is dead, but actually it's been proven just opposite. If you send a statement or a very unique offer to a consumer, that customer has a higher probability to come back in and convert. And as we're going through this, right, we are looking to pick out which customers that you should send and which ones should you focus on as more of your hand raisers or the reasons that they'll trade. What we're looking for is customers and where do they fit in your profit centers. And we kind of define a dealership into different areas. So let me explain a little bit of what we consider the profit centers. When the first two types, the upgrade and flex, these are the customers that have the parameters that you set up in the dealership, such as 100% of the MSRP, and I want to be within 110% of their current payment. That's the upgrade. Customers that drive a particular model, and you're looking to see, can I trade them up to a new vehicle here in the next 2 years? A flex just means I can do that same payment, but I just need to extend their term a little bit. Right? Again, the customers are not going to have equity traditionally in their vehicle. Most customers, if you did a good job, will not have equity. But what we're looking at is how can I keep them into their behaviors of how they like to purchase and help you actually get customers come back at a faster clip. The other two key areas are service. The pending service. It seems like at dealerships, they've had a difficult process of trying to take customers who have a scheduled appointment and really talking to those customers, you know, and how that they could trade it. What would be the reasons why that customer wants to trade that vehicle when they come in for service and get into a new model? Again, they've scheduled their time. They're going to be there. It's a great opportunity for you to consider. Other areas that we look at are the contract, for example. Here's the terms the customer's at. How close are they getting to nearing to the end of the maturity of their contract or to a lease? The I and the E that you're going to see on here, these are the big data. The I means that customer is actively in the market. It's being shown that they're doing some shopping somewhere. The engage means that, for example, they've been on your website. When you can add these elements together, it starts to give you a better talk track or just more opportunities that I need to reach out to that customer today. Two key elements on the right-hand side, the mileage alert. This is very critical for all the dealers out here who are handling lease and do a lot of lease retention. When a customer's driving habits show that they are going to be above their penalty, and that's what we call the mileage alert. That when those customers come in, if you start talking to them, letting them know that you're following it, that you've gotten the alert that they're potentially driving, that at a point where they start to have more money that they're going to have to spend than they want to, that you have solutions to solve it. It is one of the highest conversions that you get out there. And then the warranty I brought out, very specific. You'll see it a couple other times during the presentation. The warranty alerts that we've noticed is when a customer's warranty expires at the dealership, the defection from the service environment is so high that we wanted to make it very separate. It's an area that if you're not focusing on at the dealership, if you don't have a process in place, I would highly suggest you start to look at it, because again, you don't want that customer to go somewhere else because they may defect your dealership and overall defect the brand. So as we start looking at areas, right, I mentioned the I&E. These are very critical components that if a customer actively starts to do something in the market, you may not know what they're looking at, but data can tell you that these customers are interested in something else. Your CRM is not going to have that, but a combination of a good, advanced data mining system with CRM will help you go through this. The technical term is customer experience management. If these customers are actively starting to do something, well, your team should reach out and say hello. But when you find combinations such as this customer, if I'm looking at service, how many of my customers have reached out and actually started to look or to schedule service? Right? How many of them have done something on a website? I mean, technology can say in the last 24 hours, I have 7 people who have actively hopped on the website and started, and then what pages did they look at? Now, more importantly, when I've done my marketing, if I'm doing email marketing or any type of page, how many of the customers have opened an email? How many times have they opened it? Right? Those customers are very big hand raisers that you can run through. Now, another area that I like to look at is when you're doing, mail, or if you're sending out email, you're going to have a personal URL. As those customers have opened up mail and they've started to gone through and viewed them, again, it's just giving you a level of extra information that gives you a competitive advantage when you go back to talk to the consumer. Now, as we start to put the alerts together, the I&E with a mileage alert, you're going to have a 26% chance that they're going to trade today. Again, you will sit there and start to analyze your own dealership and find those sweet spots that we start to run through. Now, warranty, as I mentioned, is very critical. The defection's high. I hear this in many of the OEMs that we go speak with as we are in different meetings around. This is a common concern across the industry. Dealerships really need to start looking at focus. We have solutions and strategies around this to try to help, to reduce that down. Now, second point, probably one of the best opportunities for the dealership level is selling on the service drive. People have been trying to do it for many years. There's been a lot of, attempts. A lot of people get ran out of service. I know I got ran out of service several times, because I wasn't supposed to be back there, but yet that's where the customers were because there was no one else out on the lot. But that technology today really gives you an advantage, right? And it allows you to automate your service to sales. When you have a customer that drives in, there are, again, depending upon types of dealerships, you may have RFID chip readers. You may be using, scheduling service systems such as DealerFX. But the DMS systems will up. When that RO is opened or if that RFID chip immediately hits, in real time, that information can be sent to an advanced data mining company. It analyzes that consumer that's in, determines are they in a tradable format, do they fit one of your profit alerts, and when they do, it can immediately send it to your phone. And it pops up the message on the phone, you'll see on the right-hand side. It's going to let you know that you have a customer here. Do you have time to go out and speak to them? It's a simplified process, but allows you to really go through it. Your dealership can kind of customize it. Why it's very important, I was doing a presentation for Toyota. This is an average Toyota dealership. When we started running the averages across, they would go about a little over 2,000 ROs a month, and about 290 of those customers could come in, could actually trade keys. So roughly 14% of the people who came in every day had a tradable format. Now, just because I'm a big graph person, I like to look at it. So here's your 100 customers that come into service every day. The blue could trade at a profit in the way that you want to do, but the other ones may need some help. It doesn't mean that those customers over there, and the majority that are in there, do not have the opportunity to trade. Maybe they need a little bit more money put into their trade. When you're looking at that used car, that may be a perfect one that you want on your lot. It could be that they're service conquest. And again, there are things you can do with service conquest opportunities, such as doing a 5-liner and looking at that vehicle. Again, you can really use service to help feed your used cars, which gives you a great profit center. Now, another tip that we like on service is customer pay strategies. Say a customer has a $1,500 RO that's going to come up. You could have this go straight to the general manager. They could have the alert pop on their phone. It would immediately redesk that customer, letting you know what's running through and giving you the opportunity to go out and let the customer know that they do not have to pay these funds. They could get into a brand new car, save the money, extend their warranty, et cetera. Again, great opportunities that you can add in there. And what you're doing, and when you really consider it, is you are actually giving a benefit to that consumer. You're saving them money, right? $1,500 is a lot to consumers they go through there. You're getting them an opportunity, and you're actually, gaining trust of that consumer as they go through to that next purchase cycle. Now let's look at some case studies. These are areas that we really want to focus on to give you some ideas of why this is beneficial to you to put up strategies. The first one, it's on a lease retention strategy. This is comparing a premium brand, import brand. We looked at 16,388 consumers. Overall, what we were going through is that just tell us a little bit about this customer. So you'll notice the contract. If that customer got within less than 5 months of that contract ending, the probability of them staying in that brand greatly was reduced. They were jumping to another brand, right? What we did notice is that overall, if you had a good lease retention strategy and you're reaching out to the consumer early, that those customers would convert. They could be moved out of their vehicle into a new one. You'll have different opportunities by some brands. We work with a lot of brands, helping them on training solutions with their leases. They get a lot of different markets that run through. But overall, when we looked at customers on a 36-month lease and a 48-month lease, on an average, we can get that customer to come back in and trade on a 36-month, roughly 11 months before the end of their lease, and on a 48-month, 16.2 months. However, where data can help you is you want to find those sweet spots. So, for example, you're going to see on the 48 months, we can get customers to trade at the 50% mark, 24 months. Same thing on 36. For example, on the 36, there was 832 customers that we found. Roughly, they were about $6,000 upside down. The dealership had put extra money into the trade because those are vehicles that they really needed on their used car lot. Now, as the customer was able to reduce that down, they were able to get into a format where the customer, potentially paid a little bit more. But again, we're trying to find the sweet spots to help you convert a customer, maintain them in the system, and move through as we're going through. Now, as we compared this to another import dealer, the terms were very similar. Now, the customer would sit there and renew earlier, right? It was just a sit there and a strategy. But as we started looking at those little algorithms, those clustering algorithms, that's when we were able to find stuff. And a good system will help you analyze and saying this customer here who may only score a 60 but has a great probability to trade because, for example, in the orange here, if they have a mileage alert and that customer knows they have to pay money out of pocket, there's a great chance that they will come and trade. And we're looking for those because those are the opportunities that a lot of times get missed at the dealership level. Another strategy, another case study that we were going through is we really look at the marketing cadence. A lot of people just try to just send emails or just send, a traditional hope and spray that you see from these marketing agencies. We really started to say, let's take two markets and let's really analyze it. One market was a lease market, our market was a contract market. And we followed up with a very consistent process from a unique statement, multiple emails with that statement, a personal URL for the consumer, and we followed up with phone calls to make sure that did the customer receive them, do they have questions, and just helping out. And overall, in these markets, the average profit of the dealerships was they were running $1,600 front and back end. At the end of it, this was a 9-month pilot that went through in 2017. Right, the customers, when they started getting this, would come in and buy at a higher clip. The dealerships made a lot more money. Right, it was close to $700 more. And more importantly, the selling dealers that originally had sold those customers came back to that selling dealer higher and faster than what it had at the brand previously. Now, what another unique point that we found is the customer was getting the statement. They were starting to see it, but you would really start to see that consumer start to convert at the 4th and 5th month. So it was almost like the behavior was, I'm looking at it, I see it. Now you're starting to get my interest. Oh, something happened on my vehicle potentially. Now I'm ready to go and trade. And those are the type of, the behaviors that you want to kind of follow up, because again, the more we kind of repeat, the more we help, give the consumers reasons to come in, that you'll start to see those customers retain inside of your dealership. Another great one, and one of my biggest fan of, is I look at the used car side. The used cars converted. So we looked at 1.9 million cars that had traded from a customer who had bought at a dealership, traded that vehicle back at the dealership, and then how quickly did that car sell at the dealerships, the days on lot. And when we looked at it, the average car traded at 21.6 days. I did put the real-time average of what it took for your other used car sources. So again, you're getting about 10 days faster. Not only did you make more money on that trade, right, but also when you consider the fixed cost that you're saving, you don't have to pay for auction costs, getting that vehicle there, it was just a tremendous number. In a larger city market, if you look at, say, a Dallas market, those vehicles would trade easily within 9 to 11 days. So again, looking at your current customer base, finding vehicles is a very big opportunity for you to run through. And those customers, or those vehicles, if you can get them in and trade it, you potentially don't have to play your floor plan if you move it out fast enough. The benefits of customer retaining, as we start to kind of get near and close things up, right, it is an easier path to sell. We see a definite improvement on the CSI, right? The customers are happy. They've been in service. They're not having issues you run through. Your service departments have a profit increase. And again, those vehicles traded in do help your used car department. So again, there's opportunities across the board to look at. As a small recap, I would suggest at your store, just looking at if you're using a data mining tool, right, to finding opportunities, not just saying, yes, I called everybody, but let's start to really look at the ones, where do they fit in your profit centers? What message are you sending to those customers? If you're just sending your generic and saying, hey, I want to buy your car today, that's not working, right? But again, if you're giving the customers reasons that with your driving behavior, I see that you're going to be your warranty is expiring. Here's potentially the estimated cost. If you're on a lease, here's the potential payments you're going to have, and a penalty payment. Those little things there will help you really convert those customers faster. Those models, those clustering algorithms to find those hidden customers. There's a lot of great opportunities inside of data mining systems as they are advanced to help you find those customers that will come day to day. So, for example, if you're in a flat market or if you're having a down May, your data mining support teams can look through and find customers that what people consider the low-hanging fruit. Those are the customers that if you call today, the highest probability they would come in and buy a car today. And again, lease retention strategies, it's a major concern for OEMs across due to how customers are moving. But again, as a consumer, we all want that next vehicle. We all want the new technology. So there's a lot of good reasons to move on. And then the biggest thing is sales on your service drive. Those pending service appointments, have a vehicle brought up, have it ready for them, have it sitting there letting them know that here's what you have now, but here's what you could have at the exact same payment. Just gives you a lot of great opportunities. Overall, I want to thank everyone for their time. I know that, again, it's very busy. I also want to thank our veterans for Memorial Day. It's a big thing coming up this weekend, and so we always want to give a little respect. Other than that, let's open it up for some questions.
Hey, Kendall, I know one came through. I think maybe what they're looking for here is a little bit more of an example of how you handle a service conquest customer. What do you look for there, and what's the talk track around that?
Sure, absolutely. The service conquest customer is the majority that come into their department. There's at least half of them every day that did not buy from them, purchase somewhere else. You got a couple of advantages. For one, how many times have they been into your service department? Two, you can look at zip codes. So you can take, in a data mining system, you can take all the service customers and define the ones by a certain zip code. Then you can kind of estimate the zip code of where they live. And so you can kind of estimate about probably, where they purchase. Again, because a lot of times people purchase close, or may service close, but purchase somewhere else. But one of the key elements that we look at is find the vehicles that you really need on your used car side. Once you decide this is a perfect one that you have, and then you can do a credit convert. We can run a 5-line, make sure everything's good, kind of get an estimated payoff. Once you get that payoff and their payment, it's very easy to then have a way to analyze and say, here's your current payment that I could trade you out of that car today, keeping your payment relatively the same thing. So again, you can get the information, and you have a good 30 days to try to convert them from that time frame.
Well, Kendall, I want to thank you. This was outstanding information, some great ideas that really touch on every department of the dealership. I'd like to remind everybody that next month we'll be having Google join us to talk about modern search for the automotive dealership. And that'll be with Peter Leto and Kelly McNerney. You've probably seen them both at NADA convention and other automotive and industry meetings. They'll be addressing the latest data on automotive shoppers and how to identify and communicate with shoppers in your marketplace. And lastly, we have a very exciting announcement here at AIADA. Watch for the launch of AIADA's podcast. The title is Beltway Talk, where automotive policy intersects with DC politics. That promises to be a great series. Again, thank you all for joining us this morning. We look forward to seeing you in June. Thank you, everybody, and good selling.